Welcome back. In this section of the technology update, we'll continue to look at the other main ArcGIS applications that you're using to do your work, and to share what's new as well as a little of what's coming. We're also going to look at some of the more specialist applications within ArcGIS that may be new to some of you, and some very new applications that will likely be new to most of you. But let's start with an application which I think should be familiar to most of you, ArcGIS Pro. ArcGIS Pro has evolved into a powerful, robust GIS desktop application, which, although a desktop application, has web connectivity at its heart, allowing you to take advantage of ArcGIS Online or Enterprise content, sharing and analytics. And remember, ArcGIS Pro also has a number of focused extensions which enhance productivity and extend analysis capabilities. These work seamlessly with each other and with the wider ArcGIS system. So, to give us an update on the latest developments for ArcGIS Pro, I want to pass over to one of our 2022 graduate interns, Jess.
Hiya, today I'm going to show you some of the latest enhancements that have been developed for ArcGIS Pro 2.9, starting with updates that will allow users to improve their cartographic design and communicate their message in new ways. For instance, one of the new symbology improvements includes the dynamic feature clustering tool. In this scenario, data has been provided by NPI that represents protected species that were caught in New Zealand waters from 2002 to 2020. But the points here are crowded with no real interpretive value. By instead clicking on the layer, finding the Appearance tab, and then selecting Aggregation, I now have the option of clustering. These new clusters that are generated automatically adjust and re-aggregate as the user zooms in and out. Returning to the new Clustering tab, Scale Threshold on the left can be chosen to control at what scales the clusters appear, while the Clustering Radius can change the distance at which the features are clustered. Increasing the radius means lowering the number of clusters. By clicking on Summary Statistics, we have the option to choose an attribute of the feature, in this case Capture Method, choose a method of summary, in this case Mode, then create a new symbology field. Now, we can symbolize our clusters by the new field as unique values. Our cluster will now display the most common capture method, spatially clustered, providing both a sleeker and more insightful visualization. In addition to feature clustering, ArcGIS Pro has expanded its gallery of pre-configured symbols to include animations. The styles can be easily added from the system styled list and include both 2D and 3D symbols. In this example, I have historic weather data from NIWA depicting locations of rainfall events in Taranaki from 1883 to 2010. By clicking on the layer, opening the Symbology panel, selecting the symbol, and browsing the gallery, I can now see various animated symbols available. Once a symbol is chosen, it can be modified by first going to Properties, and then Layers. Here, the tint, rotation, and even timing of the animation can be edited. To create my own animated symbol, I could also upload my own picture marker to a symbol and use an animated GIF as the source file. In this case, we will increase the duration of the animation to make the rain appear to fall slower. If we click Apply, then pan to see the rest of the symbols, we can now see there is a clear distinction of weather events by the speed of their animation, imitating rainfall at different severities. If I want to make a 3D scene instead, I can use the 3D symbols and modify them in a similar fashion. With animated symbology, both these previously static layers have been upgraded to be more visually engaging and informative, though at any time all these animations can be paused by clicking the Pause Playback button in the bottom right corner of the map. So next up, let's take a look at the enhancements that have been made to data management in ArcGIS Pro. Let's first go to the Catalog pane. As I expand my folder connections, you can see that I'm currently connected to this folder with a pretty meaningless name. In this release of ArcGIS Pro, I can now create an alias for this folder to get a better idea of my folder structure and the data within it without physically changing the name of my folder. Additionally, I can now open feature or table views directly within the Catalog pane, so I can explore and examine my data without having to first be in a map or a scene. Next, let's take a look at a dataset many of you will be familiar with, the 2018 New Zealand Census layer. This layer is rich in attributes with over 170 fields relating to health, income, and access to housing, to name a few. And this provides a perfect use case to show the new data engineering view. Data engineering helps make your data analysis ready by streamlining your data preparation tasks and allows you to explore, visualize, clean, and prepare your data. On the left-hand side, we'll see a list of all the fields that this layer contains, as well as their corresponding data type. I can search for specific keywords to find the fields I'm most interested in, which in this case are only those related to weekly rent prices. Once I've selected those fields, I'll drag them into my view where I can quickly calculate powerful chart previews as well as helpful summary statistics for each of these fields, like minimum and maximum values, mean and standard deviation. I can also use data engineering to visualize my data as well, using the Update Symbology button, which dynamically updates my layer symbology based on different fields and helps me to start to identify and visualize spatial patterns within my data. From there, I can easily clean my data by deleting unnecessary fields or filling in missing values, construct my data by calculating fields and geometries, and further prepare my data by applying geoprocessing tools to both integrate and to format my data for future analysis. So lastly, let's zoom to a global extent to take a look at the latest enhancements with Big Data Connections in ArcGIS Pro. In the latest release, I can now connect directly to cloud data warehouses, including Snowflake, Amazon Redshift, and Google BigQuery. Once connected to that database, I now have access to it in my catalog, where I can see all the rich data and tables this warehouse contains. From there, I can enable feature binning on my tables within my data warehouse to draw aggregate features at different scales, which makes it possible to visualize and understand where these 500,000 wildfire points are located. These bins allow me to quickly identify the areas around the globe where wildfires are most prominent, including South America, Central Africa, and Australia. I can also leverage the power of a cloud data warehouse via a query layer, which allows me to construct an SQL query to search through the warehouses and return only the data which I'm most interested in. So here, I'll construct a query which searches through the records within my warehouse and returns only the ones that I want, which in this case are wildfires within my specified AOI. Once complete, that data will add to my map, returning only the subset of focused data which I'm most interested in for future analysis. Now all these enhancements and many more are currently available to you for use today with the latest release to ArcGIS Pro, and I encourage you to go give them a go. Thank you.
So as you saw, ArcGIS Pro is continually growing in functionality and is now the preferred GIS professional tool. Its predecessor, ArcMap, while still supported for around 4 more years, has all software development ceased, and the focused efforts are going into ArcGIS Pro. Customers are therefore strongly encouraged to migrate to ArcGIS Pro. For more information on the migration, check out the resources, including information on the upcoming Eagle webinar. I now want to move to another area of the ArcGIS system, moving from desktop tools for GIS professionals to mobile device applications for everyone, everywhere. Field applications allow you and your users to extend GIS workflows into the field, whether working online or offline, on phones or tablets. Tell us about the new advances in ArcGIS field applications. Let me pass over to Ed Cook.
Did you know that the ArcGIS mobile applications update multiple times a year? In the next few minutes, I'm going to bring you out on a few jobs, showing you some of the new functionality that's become available in ArcGIS Quick Capture, Field Maps, and Survey 123. Today is going to be a busy day for all of us in the operations team, with many different jobs and new functionality to show you. Using ArcGIS Workforce, a spatial to-do list, I'm going to assign a series of tasks to myself, so I can show you what's new across the mobile apps. My first job is a rapid inspection, taking me out to the wharves. Here I'm on a hunt for a specific type of bollard. We've recently identified a few issues with the coating on similar assets. So for this job that has hundreds of this type of asset out there, I'm going to use ArcGIS Quick Capture. Turning on location tracking and entering my name as an inspector, this will then stamp to every record I'm going to capture, enhancing the quality of the data captured by this big button interface. By pressing the big button, I can also take a photograph and enter the description regarding the condition of this asset. However, it's not just capturing information about assets. The newly added location tracking allows those back in the office to see my location and the location of their assets and observations also. In order to enable this, next time you're configuring a quick capture project, have a go enabling location tracking. It might be quite useful for your next project. Changing gears slightly, my next job takes me this time to a more map-centric view using ArcGIS Field Maps. This is a map-centric data collection application and allows you to capture high accuracy point, line and polygon location data. While I'm out inspecting bollards, I'm going to undertake a condition assessment using a related record. There are enhancements that have been made to this, and including the smart form that it opens. This is made easier for entering data using the new choice form elements. This provides mobile workers with a list of values that they can choose from when filling out a form, such as the condition. The asset that I've been performing a condition assessment on is in a pretty bad way, and rather than completing a condition assessment, I'm going to jump the process and add a new job request on the spot using these improved related record capabilities. While I'm completing this job order, I've happened to come across the area manager who needs a hand with quoting to fix the issue. By entering in the quality of material needed to recoat and the subsequent cost per unit of that material, I can then calculate an estimated remediation cost on the spot. This is using the new support for form calculations, which can configure specific equations and calculations within the form, allowing me to automate data entry such as a total cost on the spot. Do note, as QR codes and barcodes have seemingly come back in fashion, do give it a go leveraging the new RFID capability inside ArcGIS Field Maps. This uses the Inframarker app integration. My final task takes me over to the other side of the harbour to perform a check on recent repairs to another asset that's been an issue. For this task, I'm using Survey 123. This is our form-centric data capture application, and you'll notice recent enhancements that have been made to the GeoPoint capture. In the past, there have been challenges with users submitting with a default location, with many records appearing off a certain island of a certain continent in the middle of the Atlantic. This has been resolved by users having to enter in a location. And you'll notice also when capturing a photograph, it takes advantage of the most recent advancements in camera technology. So I'm going to submit the survey and then click over to the new Survey 123 Web Designer capabilities, particularly when configuring that specific default location. You can see when I go into my GeoPoint question, I'm able to change a few things. In the Web Designer, I can now configure a specific geocoding service based on what's available to my organisation. And do note those different press to locate options available inside the Survey 123 Web Designer. So with my jobs done and going through all this new functionality that's being added, we look forward to seeing how you use them to improve coordination and efficiency in your field operations. As you can see with the different jobs I've been carrying out, you can use field apps to reduce or even replace reliance on paper. This quality and quantity of information synced back to either your online or enterprise environment ensures that field and office staff can use the same authoritative data. Going forward, to keep track of the new functionality that may be of use to your field staff, check out the What's New section of the product pages and the ArcGIS blog.
Thanks, Ed. And just a heads up for any of you out there who are still making use of Esri's original mobile app, ArcPad. After a long and productive life, ArcPad is now retired and therefore no longer supported. However, customers on ArcPad maintenance will be able to transition to the latest technology, just like you saw. Now, let's take a look at what many people think of as the fourth key part of the ArcGIS system, ArcGIS Enterprise. ArcGIS Enterprise underpins a huge amount of the work that you do, offering an on-premise or private cloud complement to ArcGIS Online. Like the rest of the ArcGIS system, ArcGIS Enterprise has seen some new developments recently, and to take us through some of these, I want to pass back again to Boudewijn.
Hi everyone. ArcGIS Enterprise is the foundational system for mapping and visualization, data management, spatial analysis and application building, installed on infrastructure you control. Let's have a look at some of the key highlights of the current release, 10.9.1. First, there will be some updates to the runtimes of ArcGIS Enterprise. Currently, ArcGIS Enterprise contains two internal runtimes. One is used to run services published from ArcMap, and the other is used to run services published from ArcGIS Pro. And when you consider upgrading to ArcGIS Enterprise 11 that is planned to be released later this year, only the ArcGIS Pro runtime will be included. That means that if you upgrade to ArcGIS Enterprise 11, you won't be able to publish services from ArcMap anymore. Also, services that have been published from ArcMap will no longer work. But the release of ArcGIS Enterprise 10.9 will have tools available to upgrade existing map, image and feature services to the new runtime. Other services like geoprocessing and geocoding services will need to be replaced from ArcGIS Pro prior to or after upgrading to ArcGIS Enterprise 11. The 10.9.1 release comes with many updates to apps. The new map viewer is included by default with 10.9.1, with a much improved and modernized UI. It allows you to create prettier maps more easily and intuitive. Instant apps are the next generation of configurable web mapping apps that can now be easily created straight from the map viewer or directly from the content page. You can also start using the new ArcGIS dashboards, which is built on the ArcGIS JavaScript API 4.x with improved performance and new capabilities. The scene viewer has received an update as well to allow for editing features inside the scene viewer, create elevation profile charts, and when you have changed the symbology of a layer, you can now save that to the layer. So the next time you use that layer, it will use the saved symbology. Just like ArcGIS Pro, ArcGIS Enterprise now supports cloud data warehouses. You can now register Google BigQuery, Snowflake and Amazon Redshift with ArcGIS Enterprise. And ArcGIS Enterprise on Kubernetes is the latest deployment pattern for ArcGIS Enterprise. Kubernetes accompanies Windows and Linux as supported operating systems. It's a completely new cloud-native architecture based on containers for software delivery, Kubernetes for orchestration, and microservices for scalability and resilience. It is supported on AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and on-premises using Red Hat OpenShift. And for most organizations, the Windows or Linux deployment patterns are the preferred option. This new deployment pattern is especially interesting for large environments with unpredictable demand, where there's understanding about Kubernetes in the organization. And this was just a selection of what's new in ArcGIS Enterprise. And check out the documentation and the Esri blogs for a full overview of what's new.
We now want to look at some of the more focused applications which build on top of the core ArcGIS system and which address specific areas of use. The first of these is ArcGIS Urban. ArcGIS Urban is a smart city planning and engagement tool which enables planners and design professionals to collaborate with a web-based 3D application supporting scenario planning and impact assessment. To tell us more about the latest editions of ArcGIS Urban, as well as how it can be applied specifically for New Zealand use cases, I want to pass over to Omid.
Hi. In this demo, I would like to briefly introduce Esri ArcGIS Urban, its updates, and some examples on how it could be applied in New Zealand urban planning context. Esri ArcGIS Urban is the next generation of geo-enabled planning tool for creating digital twin and smart city planning. It merges a digital copy of the built environment with web-based interactive zoning analysis and planning tools. ArcGIS Urban contributes to a more efficient decision-making through smart visualization, scenario modeling, and the interactive interface. ArcGIS Urban has many features helping planners to create a digital twin. Some of these features are specifically helpful for achieving National Policy Statement on Urban Development or NPSUD requirements. For instance, in ArcGIS Urban, suitable areas of intensification could be specified using suitability models. Different housing typologies, including the missing middle housing typologies, could be modeled, and planners can test different zoning height and coverage regulations to enable intensification. In the next slides, I would like to share new features in ArcGIS Urban February 2022 release with examples from New Zealand. Suitability models help planners to prioritize parcels for development. In the new release, you can save multiple suitability models per plan or copy a model to compare different model outputs and play around with weights and classification approaches. We can explore parcels and see how each criteria contributes to the parcel's final suitability score. The export scenario to web scene functionality writes the suitability model scores to the parcels attribute. Each parcel includes the final suitability score along with the values and weights of each criteria. Using viewpoint functionality, we can capture multiple views of a plan, which helps us to better understand how the plan fits into the existing development. In this example, we can view high-rise, mid-rise, and low-rise residential development landscapes and how they fit into the context of the city. Now we can create a copy of an urban model by exporting urban database to a file geodatabase. When creating a new urban model, a file geodatabase is a new option allowing us to choose our local urban database and apply that to our new model. Here you can see space use types and zoning types, for example, are exported into our new model. The plan or project details card can now be viewed directly in a plan or project in the newly added detail mode. As well as details mode, dashboards with all the metrics such as dwellings and population capacity is available, and citizens can put their location-based comments and feedbacks. The split tool is improved to avoid multi-part polygon. This feature is useful when dividing typical large residential parcels for intensification. In this example, a parcel is divided into 4 separate parcels and is assigned high-rise and mid-rise apartments, and higher population and housing capacity is enabled. So the geospatial capabilities of ArcGIS Urban are growing with the upcoming features such as supporting local coordinate systems, transportation support, and enterprise support. For more information on ArcGIS Urban, check out our latest video on New Zealand Esri Users Conference 2021, the link at the bottom right of the page. So as you have seen, ArcGIS Urban offers many useful functionalities for smart city planning and meeting NPSUD requirements. I hope you found this demo useful and feel excited about leveraging ArcGIS Urban for your own city planning projects. Please feel free to reach out for further details or any questions regarding ArcGIS Urban. Thank you.
Thanks, Omid. I can't help but think that ArcGIS Urban is like a sim city for real life. Now I want to take a look at another technology while staying in the area of built environments. BIM, or Building Information Modeling, has long been considered a separate but related discipline, with many parallels to GIS. A few years ago, a very significant alliance between Esri and Autodesk paved the way for the creation of tools that facilitate two-way sharing of information between these sister systems. This was driven by the growing demand for data to be exchanged without the need for complex ETL and customization work. One of the products of this collaboration is Esri's GeoBIM. To tell us more about this, as well as provide an update on the latest advances in Esri's drone technology, also heavily used in the AEC space, I want to pass over to James.
Today, I'd like to show you a new application within the ArcGIS system. That application is GeoBIM. GeoBIM is the joining together of BIM content created with specialist engineering tools alongside your GIS and its content. This is a new piece of technology that can access Autodesk BIM 360, Autodesk Construction Cloud, as well as Forge Viewer, and read in their graphic features of BIM models. These models will be connected through a new item type called a GeoBIM project, directly linking to our ArcGIS Online or Enterprise features. While there are currently connectors to Autodesk applications, this will be the first time that there is a cloud-to-cloud connection. With a cloud connection to BIM 360 established, it allows users to build applications on top of those GeoBIM projects. These can support design and construction and operations of a building in geographic context. In this demonstration, we have a facilities manager interested in understanding the current state of the portfolio of assets that they look after. To do this, we will utilize the up-to-date and maintained design drawings as our source of truth, alongside our existing geographic data. Here in this configured GeoBIM application, I want to give my facilities manager a 2D view of their portfolio, with boundary boxes derived directly from Autodesk. This can give an at-a-glance view of the scale of a portfolio. If I toggle to the 3D view, now I can present myself with a better sense of terrain. I can add in contextual GIS layers like 3D building outlines and trees to get a sense of surroundings. Additionally, I can take an extra step here and use these features now in my GIS to perform analysis on the proximity of my design to nearby buildings and how they affect each other, for example. I can also bring in nearby water utilities to see where we'll be linking into the original design file. Here I can see the source of truth Revit design as a document, or as-built document, represented here as a building scene layer of the new Linwood swimming pool. If I browse around and interact with one of the features here, I will gain the ability to prompt my Forge viewer. This will then link to the original design with my selected feature highlighted. This application shows how a facilities manager, or any non-technical staff member for that matter, can use GIS as that touch point to access greater detailed documentation on the facilities that they manage. My final app that I'd like to show you is the Issues dashboard. This enables stakeholders and project managers to monitor progress of construction. This dashboard can also help to understand where issues are occurring across the project and if there are common trends there. This inspection workflow can be further enhanced by linking in with the ArcGIS Field apps, for example. The great thing about having these configurable apps is that you can have specific apps targeting the design, as-built, or operation phases of a project, depending on the intended audience. As you can see, ArcGIS GeoBIM has the possibility to be your foundation for your projects across the asset lifecycle. Your GIS, a source of authoritative spatial data, can act as the touchpoint to other authoritative systems and information sources through the common link of geography. It doesn't matter if you're a facilities manager, contractor, or even GIS analyst. You can see the benefit of having a lot of your asset information in one place or within a map. I want to turn your attention very briefly to ArcGIS Indoors. ArcGIS Indoors aims to extend the life cycle of your CAD and BIM data into interactive indoor maps. ArcGIS Indoor models your sites, buildings, and floors all within a single view. So all of your facilities data is organized and secured in indoor maps for various facilities and workplace operations. This data is surfaced through a few different applications. The first is a web app that makes all of your facilities information securely available through floor-aware maps directly in the browser in 2D or 3D. This same data is surfaced through a mobile application, which allows you to navigate the floor-aware maps online and offline. You can even book meeting rooms and view events. Finally, there is an app to manage your indoor spaces that enables planners and administrators to quickly visualize space type allocations and assignments of people to spaces such as desks and offices. In addition to Indoors, there is now ArcGIS IPS. IPS is an indoor positioning system that lets users locate themselves and others inside a building in real time. Similar to GPS in outdoor maps, it puts a blue dot on indoor maps and uses location services and indoor beacons to help people navigate to any point of interest or destination. This allows employees, customers, and visitors to better navigate and operate within buildings. Both of these capabilities allow you to make even greater use of BIM and CAD data and combine it with GIS to bring mapping indoors too. Finally, to finish off our BIM, facilities management, and GIS section, I want to talk a bit about drones. Drones continue to play an important role as data capture tools for analysis and map production purposes. There are currently two main offerings. SiteScan, which is the SaaS offering, allows users to fly and capture imagery, store, process, and share drone imagery outputs in a cloud environment. There is also ArcGIS DronesMap, the desktop equivalent. Both applications allow reality capture in the form of orthomosaics, 3D texture meshes, point clouds, and elevation products. To demonstrate some of the data capture side, I'll head to a tasking application that is configured using Experience Builder. Now I'm still in charge of facilities, and I have a couple of locations that I want up-to-date imagery for inspection and maintenance purposes. These polygons represent the flight area that I want my drone pilots to cover. Next, I'll head to Workforce and assign my pilots the specific tasks to complete these flights by a certain date, let's say by tomorrow. Let's now jump across to what my pilot will see. First up, my pilot is going to open up Workforce and see that they have a couple of assigned flights to complete, I'll go ahead and acknowledge those. Next, I'll open up SiteScan Flight, the flight planner that allows for autonomous drone flight and pre-planning of flight parameters. Here in this flight setup, I can bring in both my workforce layer, filtered by assigned tasks, as well as the polygon features for the desired coverage area. A new capability of SiteScan Flight is to automatically adjust the flight boundary to existing ArcGIS Online layers, saving pilots time in the field, as well as improve repeatability of flights, such as this facility scan. Next, it's just a matter of hitting fly and sending the images to SiteScan Manager for processing. Back in the office, my facility manager now has access to the process imagery products to interrogate the facilities from the comfort of their own desks. Now, we only had time for a couple of new features today, but I encourage you all to take a look at some of the new and exciting capabilities within drone capture and drone content. I look forward to seeing how you are using it within your own industries.
Thanks to Christchurch City for the data in that BIM example, and thanks to James for giving us that update on ArcGIS GeoBIM, as well as a quick overview of the latest developments in drones and the exciting area of indoor GIS. So now, moving from above and inside, we want to move to underground. Well, sort of. The ArcGIS Utility Network allows the creation of fully connected digital twin for asset operators to design, manage and analyse their water, electric, gas or telco networks. The UN technology is rapidly evolving and has grown in adoption globally and in New Zealand. To tell us more about some of the latest functionality, I want to pass across to our newlywed, Phil Greville.
Hey everyone, today I'm going to be taking you through some of the new improvements and updates for the Utilities Network in ArcGIS Pro 2.9 and ArcGIS Enterprise 10.9.1. Basically, the new updates can be broken down into two sections. One that just significantly improves efficiency with workflows in ArcGIS Pro, and the other one helps with data outputs for talking to third-party integration software. So yeah, let's get started. So in the first section of updates, as I said, they just make some of the workflows in ArcGIS Pro a little bit more efficient. So you're now able to migrate UN data using copy and paste. While it's still best practice to use asset packages for staging your utility network, using the copy function can be handy for users just operating the UN on a file geodatabase before moving to production to an enterprise geodatabase. Next, there's been some changes made to upgrade dataset geoprocessing tool. So when you upgrade to Utility Network version 5, I'm going to mention a lot of versions here. You need ArcGIS, so Utility Network version 5, ArcGIS Pro version 2.9, you're no longer required to update the geodatabase if it is version 10.8.1.2.6 or later. Basically what this means is that you no longer need to use this geoprocessing tool if you're using all of the up-to-date versions of the software. And lastly, asynchronous processing has now been made default for geoprocessing tools. Again, some of these updates will go relatively unnoticed, but they're just making your workflows just that little bit more efficient. So the next section of updates help with third-party integration. So now domain descriptions are included in the JSON output when exporting subnetworks. So basically this means it's just easy to understand rather than having coded domains and translating the coded domains. The domain description is now there for you to read. Also, trace results now include connectivity and element results exported to JSON. So what this means is that you no longer have to export loads and loads of JSON from exporting the subnetwork. You can export a trace result from the trace you've run in ArcGIS Pro to JSON and then import that and get the third-party software to read that. And lastly, the error inspector is now available in UN. So the last 2 points I'm going to show in a bit of a demo now. So moving on to the demo. So in this demo, I'm just going to show you some data from the Queenstown District Council. They were kind enough to offer us some data to demonstrate their water utility network. So what we do in this demo is we just run a trace. So initially, I run just the standard trace with the selection output. So you select selection and new selection. When you run this will give you the usual output of highlighted features. But you can now also add connectivity or the elements result types, which gives you a contingent value of that to output to JSON format. As I said, this only returns a small amount of JSON rather than the entire subnetwork with the export subnetwork geoprocessing tool. Once it's run, here you can see the JSON outputted from that trace that I just ran. And so next I'm going to show you the error inspector. Let's find the bookmark. And so we've got a couple of errors that I made here, and so the error inspector can be found in the data tab in the utility network, and it allows you can filter your errors to the screen extent, toggle through and select your errors. You can zoom to errors. So I zoom to the water device. And it also provides you with details about the error and details about the feature that the error is associated with. So in this case, the errors are associated with the terminal connections. So I just need to change the terminal connections associated with the pump. Once I do that, so I make that high pressure out, apply that, and I'll make the other feature low pressure in. Once I've applied both of those edits, I can validate that and fix my errors. There's no more errors in the error inspector. Cheers, thanks for listening to me, team. If you would like to know a little bit more about the updates that I've talked about today, visit the ArcGIS blog site. Otherwise, if you'd like to get started with the UN, feel free to contact myself or one of the Eagle team, and I'm sure we'll be able to help you out. So yeah, look forward to hearing from you, and thanks again.
The last technology area we want to look at is a series of relatively new applications which complement the other ArcGIS system components to fulfill specific purposes for specific types of users or groups. Whether working with real-time data, integrating GIS data into gaming engines, or providing a common operating picture for a mission or activity. To briefly take us through these applications, I want to ask James to join us again.
Esri are always working on new and exciting applications aimed to expand GIS into new areas and industries. A great example of this is game engines. Currently, ArcGIS integration with game engines is provided through the ArcGIS Maps SDK as a developer product. It integrates with the two market-leading game engines, Unity and Epic's Unreal Engine. Both are distributed as plugins within these apps and provide a UI and APIs to access ArcGIS services and local data. This enables you to create local and global 3D experiences through a scene, which provides the context to display ultra-realistic visualizations of your GIS content. You can even interact with geospatial data through scenario modeling or animation creation. And all the work you do will honor real-world geographic coordinate space. The public beta is open now, with the expected final release around April this year. So if this interests you, head to Esri's early adopter page for more information. ArcGIS Velocity extends Esri's geospatial cloud with real-time and big data functionality. It provides a wide variety of capabilities for ingesting and working with observation and sensor data. You can just configure out-of-the-box connectors to bring in data from IoT platforms and third-party APIs. It's also an end-to-end system for analysis, supporting analyzing data in real time, in near real time with scheduling, and overtime. And you can take immediate action as a result of your analysis, sending alerts and notifications for triggering downstream processes. If you have a need to bring real-time information into your GIS, then Velocity is a user-friendly way to do this. Finally, I want to show a brief slide to introduce Shore, the newest addition to Esri's imagery map production tools. You can think of Shore as a new image processing engine that can automatically process imagery input from precise orientation data, or LiDAR, to generate high-quality outputs. These outputs can include what we call true orthomosaics, or another name for the DSM orthomosaic. This is a reference to placing all of the imagery, including rooftops, in the correct horizontal position, as well as highly accurate and realistic 3D meshes and point clouds. To show you what I mean, I have an example here of the city of Frankfurt. This imagery was captured at 10 centimeter resolution and stitched together using Shore. As you can see, the results are quite impressive, showing really fine detail of the many buildings within the scene. I hope these quick product intros have been a useful starting point for thinking of new ways to leverage new kinds of data within your own organizations.
As you can see, the development teams at Esri have been busy delivering some great new applications for you to use. Finally, I want to share some information on a new and yet old app. Almost all of you will be familiar with ArcGIS Story Maps, a great way to combine your ArcGIS maps and data with a narrative that is accessible to an easy-to-use web map. However, we want to be able to include maps in your stories even if you've never had any cartographic or GIS training and are not a GIS professional. That's why Esri created Story Maps Express. These easy-to-create applications open up the power of story maps to everyone. Learn more about them at storymaps.com. That brings us to the end of the technology update, and although we've only provided a very condensed view of some of the latest advances, I hope that you'll have all seen something to take away with you and to use in your own areas of work. Having said that, the ongoing development of ArcGIS is an exciting one with a strong roadmap full of new products and updates as well as entirely new applications. All of these incorporating the latest technology advances. Keep an eye on the Esri blogs, amongst other things, to hear about new technology advances in between events like this one. We've also shared a good number of supporting resources that will allow you to learn more about the many topics covered today, from links to blogs to online learning tools and live samples. You can check these out in the links listed in the resource area for this session. We also want to share with you some information on some more events which we have for the community. The Eagle webinar series is completely free and covers a large range of topics each month. Check out the list of forthcoming webinars in the resources. We also hope to be able to share some more information on the 2022 New Zealand Esri User Conference very soon, so please stay tuned. We really hope that we can all meet face to face soon. Finally, I want to thank all of today's presenters for helping to share the latest ArcGIS technology, and of course thank all of you for joining us today. We hope that you enjoy the rest of your RUC event. Matiwa.